We are talking about three men, two from the community of Be'eri and one who was at the Nova Festival, Ohad Ben Ami, Or Levy, and Eli Shapari. They were released from the central city of Deir el-Balah. Ohad and Eli were kidnapped from the community of Be'eri, and Or was kidnapped from a bomb shelter near the Nova Festival. They returned barely recognizable and clearly had lost significant amounts of weight while in Hamas captivity.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. A federal judge imposing a temporary halt to plans by Elon Musk and his so-called Department of Government Efficiency to impose a paid leave for the workers at the U.S. Agency for International Development.
2,200 USAID workers aren't being placed on paid leave after all. U.S. District Judge Carl Nichols, a Trump appointee, sided with the two federal employee associations who asked the court to block the Trump administration's move to put thousands of USAID workers on paid leave. They also want the court to compel the reopening of USAID's buildings, return the staffers to work, and restore funding. The Trump administration and Elon Musk, who is running the Department of Government Efficiency, have targeted USAID and on Thursday ordered furloughs for at least 8,000 staffers and contractors. The lawsuit says the president does not have the authority to shut down an agency enshrined in congressional legislation. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
And a different federal judge has blocked DOJ from accessing Treasury Department records, including Social Security numbers. America is listening to Fox News.
It is time to take the quiz.
5 days a week, it's 5 questions in less than 5 minutes. We ask people on the streets of New York City to play along. Let's see how you do.
What are the 2 active volcanoes on mainland Europe called?
Is Vesuvio one of them?
Vesuvius and Etna.
How'd you do? Exactly. These get tougher, so hang on.
Take the quiz every weekday at thequiz.fox. Then come back here to see how you did. Thank you for taking the quiz.
As President Donald Trump begins his second term.
Promises made, promises kept. We're going to keep our promises.
Stick with the Fox News Rundown as history is made during his first 100 days. Whether it impacts your family, your wallet, or the world, our team of journalists will give you the sharp analysis and perspective you expect from Fox News. The Fox News Rundown, the first 100 days. Listen and follow now at foxnewsrundown.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Homeland Security Secretary
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
What the footage shows. I'm Sasha Nixon. Here's what's trending this hour. Footage from an officer-involved shooting was released Friday by Indy Metro Police. Harrison Silcox reports.
Drop the gun!
It was 2 in the morning, October 14th on the east side.
Get on the ground. Everybody get on the ground.
An IMPD officer was trying to keep a hold of potential suspects in a shooting at Bubba's Bar and Grill. According to police, 2 groups of people were threatening to shoot each other when Officer Roman Irvin Williams stepped in. While he was trying to get people outside, suspect Markel Sampson shot his gun. Officer Irvin Williams claims he told Sampson to then drop the weapon, but Sampson aimed it in his direction. That's when Irvin Williams shot him. Sampson was arrested after a trip to the hospital. Harrison Silcox, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Following the Trump administration's efforts to shutter the U.S. Agency for International Development, one Hoosier leader is expressing his concerns. Congressman Andre Carson tweeted, "The president does not have the authority to abolish it. Congressional authorization would be required to abolish, move, or consolidate USAID." But you will have a chance to do a polar plunge this weekend in Culver.
You'll jump into the beautiful Lake Maxinkuckee. We're blessed here to have second largest natural lake in Indiana.
Andrea Canacci says registration starts at noon Sunday and participation is $30 per person. Learn more at findculver.com. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Tonight, mostly cloudy, low temperatures in the upper 20s. And for tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies sticking around in our forecast, high temperatures in the mid to upper 30s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
Talking on the phone is difficult if you've been exposed to loud noises over time. Combat veterans, factory workers, farmers, gun and motorcycle enthusiasts can have trouble hearing on the telephone. Relay Indiana helps return clarity to your phone conversations. A free service providing telecom accessibility, Relay Indiana allows hard of hearing users to have normal phone conversations through specially trained relay operators. Relay Indiana also provides free loaned equipment to those who qualify. Get the CapTel caption telephone from Relay Indiana. Visit relayindiana.com now.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Stay warm and cozy all winter long with a Howald Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing tune-up. Seasonal wear and tear can take its toll on your furnace. Schedule now. Howald Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing, where coming home never felt so good.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment. And this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And good afternoon, and welcome to the Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC. I've been looking forward to doing this show for basically all week. And that was before we had what could be a complete game changer just happened yesterday in the form of an executive order signed by President Trump on the specific issue of the Second Amendment. And I'm going to get into a lot more detail on this here throughout the show because it is definitely a potential game changer really across the board on issues relating to your Second Amendment rights, how your Second Amendment rights are being regulated today, being limited today, the positions the government has taken historically, including specifically during the Biden administration. This executive order signed yesterday by President Trump can absolutely change the game. And here's why. Let me just give you a little prelude. And as I say, I'm going to get more into this later in the show. President Trump signed an executive order just yesterday, and he's directing the new Attorney General, Pam Bondi, to review all agency actions taken since 2021 on the issue of the Second Amendment and to assess whether or not those are consistent with the Second Amendment in this country. And what are we talking about here? We're talking about a long list of what the ATF specifically did under the Biden administration and how this can potentially undo all of this. We're talking about regulation on so-called ghost guns. And listen, I always hate to use the terminology that anti-Second Amendment people use, like ghost gun or assault weapon. What are we talking about when we talk about ghost guns? We're talking about essentially firearms that are manufactured at home. And it's been legal for my lifetime, and I'm damn old, to build your own guns at home and to buy the component parts of those guns, put them together yourself. And as long as they're for personal use only, totally legal. Nothing wrong with that. The Biden administration tried to cut down on that, first by demonizing them and calling them, oh no, ghost guns. But then we had an issue that I've talked about a lot here on the show, which is the stabilizer brace issue. What are we talking about, if that's a new term for you? That years ago, 12, 13 years ago, manufacturers came out with what they called a pistol stabilizer brace. And what is that? That's a device that you can put on a pistol, like, for instance, an AR-style pistol or an AK-style pistol. And it replaces what would otherwise be a shoulder stock. It attaches to the gun the same way as a shoulder stock, but it's designed to essentially fit over your forearm, and it does just what the name implies. It's a stabilizing brace for a pistol that facilitates the use of that gun one-handed. And it came out originally as a device to facilitate and assist those folks that may have only one limb, may have lost a limb serving their country, for instance, maybe handicapped in some way. But if you want to shoot a gun one-handed, the stabilizer brace helped you do that. Well, the Biden administration, through the ATF, put out an executive order that said, oh no, if you put one of these on your AR, AK-style pistol or other similar firearm, you've now converted it into a short-barreled rifle, and if you don't go out and get a stamp for it, get it approved as a short-barreled rifle under the National Firearms Act, then we're going to put you in prison for 10 years. So with a stroke of a pen, within the ATF, without changing the words of Congress as to what a short-barreled rifle is or is not, the ATF wants to put millions and millions and millions of people in jail for having unregistered short-barreled rifles. And I've gone into more detail on this, and there was a so-called grace period where you could register your pistol as an SBR, not have to pay the $200 tax. So be it. But this executive order directing Pam Bondi to review all agency actions under the Biden administration that may conflict with your Second Amendment rights specifically includes those things regulated by ATF, and where the ATF has changed the rules under the Biden administration, and that includes the stabilizing braces. And those two right there are big. It goes beyond that, though. And it goes beyond that, and here's why I'm excited about it, and this is where I'm going to go into a lot more detail later in the show. It also directs the administration. And I actually pulled up the full text of the executive order here in front of me. This is where it gets really exciting. It also directs the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, just confirmed, to review, quote, the positions taken by the United States in any and all ongoing and potential litigation that affects or could affect the ability of Americans to exercise their Second Amendment rights. Oh, my goodness. And I talk about these issues all the time here on the show, so you're going to know what this list involves. Do you know the number of cases there are out there right now where the United States government, through the Department of Justice, which is exactly the agency that now Pam Bondi heads up, the positions they've taken and the issues being litigated, this list, it's a long one. And I've been optimistic about how this litigation was going to turn out in the courts. Because of the Bruen decision in the U.S. Supreme Court, I've gone into a lot of detail on that in the past. I'll do it again later in the show. And I've been optimistic about how this is going to turn out. But what this executive order does is it directs the Department of Justice to reassess their position to where on a lot of these pending cases, and we're talking about assault weapon bans, we're talking about high-capacity magazine bans, we're talking about a case I've just recently talked about on social media that's challenging the idea that you have to be 21 to buy a pistol in a gun shop. We're talking about the law that says even if you're an occasional user of, for instance, marijuana, and this is a decision just ruled upon, and I put this out on my social media as well, then you're forbidden from possessing firearms because you're a quote-unquote user of or addicted to an illegal drug. But the list goes on from there, and it's a long list. And what could potentially come out of this, and I would love to hear the discussion and field the questions and the comments from our listening audience. So throughout the show, as we always do, we're going to take your calls, 317-239-9393. This could be a complete game changer on a lot of the gun control laws that we've been fighting about, litigating, lobbying politicians on for a long, long time in terms of the positions taken by the United States Department of Justice in litigation. And I'll just give you a little taste of this. And we're gonna change the topics. I've got an important guest. I'm excited about the guest that's going to call in at 5:30, because this deals with another issue that I've been actively involved in and talking about in the media, including an interview I just gave here a couple days ago to the Washington Post. But here's just a little sample. The Department of Justice, in response to this executive order from Trump, could literally come out and say, you know what, in all those cases where the Department of Justice is contesting whether or not an assault weapon ban, quote unquote, that purports to ban the most commonly owned rifles in America and a lot of pistols and shotguns as well, that the United States Department of Justice rescinds its position and stipulates to the dismissal of those cases, or stipulates to the success of those cases, depending on which side of the verses they're on in those particular cases, so that they concede that any assault weapon ban in any state in the country or any local government in the country is unconstitutional, and the court should rule accordingly. Whoa. Whoa. Now, that's just on one issue. Could that also happen on all these myriad other issues? Oh, my, yes. Oh, my, yes, it could. And that's why, again, hey, I don't want to get overly excited. It's like anything. Is the potential there? You bet. Could this be an absolute game changer across the board for Second Amendment rights in this country? Oh, completely. But Pam Bondi first has to take action. We're going to talk more about Pam Bondi as the new Attorney General. How excited should we be? How confident should we be in what she's going to do and where it's going to likely go from there? All of that is on the table. We'll get into all of that throughout the show, and we want to take your calls throughout the show, 317-239-9393, 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
No matter where you head on your commute, Matt Bear is there. Paris.
Les Champs-Élysées sont un véritable parking ce matin.
Warsaw.
W drodze do pracy, wyjdź trochę wcześniej.
Or Brazil.
Temos bisbilhotice no Rio de Janeiro. Não haja como turista.
Matt, these are all cities in Indiana.
Oh, that makes my job easier.
Making your commute easier. Matt Bear Traffic. Mornings and afternoons on 93 WIBC.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. Our most popular class, as always, is our Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class. And I'll tell you what, I just added this up. We have 8 seats available on the next class coming up. It's Saturday, March 15th at Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range located in Avon. This is going to be on a Saturday, 9 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. This is 5 hours of the most important legal information you need as an Indiana gun owner. How do you stay on the right side of the law? Well, that's exactly what we talk about. We go into a detailed discussion of the justified use of force in self-defense, including deadly force. When you can pull your gun, we can point your gun at someone, and certainly when you can pull the trigger, all those issues are literally what makes the difference between being a law-abiding citizen and being a criminal, where you can spend a lot of time in prison. That's not to be emotional about it. That's just the way it works. That's how the law of self-defense works. We go into that and a whole heck of a lot more, including how to avoid commonly prosecuted crimes like criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon, or pointing a firearm, or intimidation with a deadly weapon. We go into all of that again and a whole lot more. It's 5 hours. Check it out at tactical-firearms.com. You can register right online. It's $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. Again, you can register right online. Go to tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
Hi, I'm Charlie Comer from Comer & Cross Premium Garage Floor Coatings. If your garage floor looks bad with stains, cracks, and pits, it makes your entire garage look bad. And a bad epoxy job or chipping paint makes your garage or basement look worse. With one quick call to 1-800-NEW-FLOOR, I can save you $1,000 on a new Comer & Cross garage floor or basement floor during our winter sale. A Comer & Cross concrete floor coating is the gold standard. Guaranteed. A Comer & Cross garage floor won't chip, crack, or show tire lift like epoxy or paint ever. What's the Comer & Cross difference? We make it so easy. We move your stuff out for you. We fix the cracks and pits perfectly. In one day, you will love your gleaming new Comer & Cross garage floor or basement floor just in time for spring. Call us right now for $1,000 in savings during our winter sale. Operators are standing by now at 1-800-NEW-FLOOR. That's 1-800-NEW-FLOOR. Or go to COMERcross.com.
What is 988?
It's a free 24-hour suicide and crisis lifeline.
And what is a crisis?
Maybe something you experience so often.
You don't even think it's a crisis.
Anxiety over money.
A stressful relationship.
Concerns about a loved one's mental health.
If you are experiencing thoughts of suicide or mental health or substance use crisis, call or text 988.
It's a listening ear.
And it's a way forward.
Pat Sullivan here for Hope Plumbing. Have you been dreaming of kitchen updates since the new year began? My friends at Hope Plumbing want you to love your plumbing. Update your faucets, fixtures, water heaters, and more with a $100 off a $500 plus plumbing service. Make your remodel dreams or small home update wishes come true and start to love your plumbing again. Call and schedule an appointment today at 317-641-HOPE or visit them online at hopeplumbing.com.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet, so make a free call to Page Publishing. Turn your book idea into publishing gold.
800-215-6818. 800-215-6818. That's 800-215-6818.
I fall in love with you more every single morning.
Babe, you're my favorite. My heart belongs to you.
At Shane Company, our fine jewelry says it all without saying a word. This Valentine's Day, give a gift they'll love. We have pieces you can personalize or classic gifts that are ready to go. Shop our collection of meaningful gifts, like necklaces engraved with flowers and a message of love. Or give timeless diamond studs or a stylish 14-karat gold chain. We have so many romantic gifts, no matter your budget. Just call us Cupid. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies with national LTE coverage. Go to rapidradios.com and you'll get up to 60% off, free UPS shipping. Add code RADIO for an additional 5% off.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Through their service, veterans have our backs. Now we should have theirs. Learn more at GotYour6.org. Are you still thinking about what to get her this Valentine's Day? Make that special gift last forever and surprise her with a gift from Pierce Jewelers. Shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. Learn more at helpnokidhungry.org.
Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. Before we get into the specifics and the potential ramifications of Trump's executive order today, I want to get into an issue that I spent a lot of time on this week. I posted a lot about it. If you don't follow me on Twitter or X, I'd appreciate you giving me a follow on there. It's just at Guy Relford. And I'm on Facebook, also at Guy Relford. But I got interviewed, and I actually was interviewed, 2 or 3 weeks ago for this story by Wish TV. And I was a little more animated in my interview on this story than I typically am. Of course, none of that was used in the actual story because as typically happens, most of what I have to say gets edited out by the time they actually air the story. And listen, part of that I get. I mean, they're not going to let anybody that they're interviewing, go on, for minutes and minutes and minutes on an interview where the whole story is relatively short. So I understand the realities of that. At the same time, none of what I thought were the most important messages that I wanted to deliver even came out. And what is the issue? The issue is that a guy here, apparently in Marion County, named Terry Sutherland. Terry is blind. And Terry decided, because he wanted to, quote unquote, prove a point about Indiana's gun laws, he decided he would apply for an Indiana license to carry a handgun. And as I always do, I corrected the reporter. The story still came out screwed up, and they eventually went back and fixed at least the online version. I said, no, it's not a concealed carry permit. And listen, if you listen to the Gun Guy show, you understand all those issues. But he applied for a license to carry a handgun. And listen, how does the Indiana license to carry a handgun, how does that application process work? Well, we're a shall issue state. And the Supreme Court in the Bruin decision, just came out a couple of years ago, requires now every state to be a shall issue state. That means unless you're disqualified from getting your license or permit or whatever they happen to call it in a particular state, here we call it a license to carry a handgun, unless you're disqualified, you get your license. There's no discretion. There's not some official scratching their beard, pondering whether you have a sufficient need to have your license or you have a sufficient need to carry a gun. If you're not disqualified because of something on your record, essentially, then you get your license. Indiana's been that way for a long time, been that way since 1980, when the Indiana courts required our license to be that way. In case you want to look it up, it's called Schubert versus DeBard. And we're a shall issue state, as we should be, as every state's required to be now. There is no disqualification in the Indiana statutes for who gets a license and who doesn't based on a disability, including blindness. Should there be? We'll get into a lot of that discussion here on the show tonight. In my view, absolutely not. According to the National Federation of the Blind, the oldest and largest nationwide organization of blind Americans, no, there should not be a disqualification based on the simple fact that you're blind. But Terry Sutherland, from right here in Indy, where I'm broadcasting from, he decided that Indiana's laws are, quote unquote, too lax. I'm not saying he used those terms. I mean, that was the point he was trying to make. And so he went down and applied for his license, went and got fingerprinted, and he was issued his license. He then contacted the media, waving his hands in the air, going, oh my God, look at this. The Indiana State Police just issued me a handgun license. I shouldn't have a handgun license. I'm blind. And when Wish TV asked me to comment on this story, I have to tell you, and I've talked about this on Hammer and Nigel, just talked about it on Thursday. I got a little animated about this. Now, none of that came through. I actually just did an interview day before yesterday with the Washington Post on the exact same issue. I was a little animated with them too. Of course, none of that got printed. But I got a little animated about this. You know what this is? This is an individual whose constitutional rights were respected by the state of Indiana. And he's upset about that. And if not only does he believe he shouldn't have the ability to carry a gun, apparently, or even own a gun, according to his comments in the media, he doesn't think anybody else with his same disability, that is blindness, should have that ability either. And he's actually advocating for a change in Indiana law so as to prohibit people with his disability from possessing a firearm, or at a minimum from getting a license to carry. And why is that so deeply offensive to me? It's deeply offensive to me because it's the attitude that I've been fighting against for a long time, a lot of decades. It's the attitude of, well, individuals are incapable of exercising any judgment any personal responsibility on their own, so they must be told by the government exactly what their rights are. They should be told by the government because they're incapable of exercising this judgment on their own. They should be told by the government whether they have the ability to exercise a constitutional right or not. That is so profoundly disturbing to me, frankly angers me. And what I said on social media and what I said to the Washington Post, what I said to Wish TV, and of course none of this was published by either of those media outlets, I said, listen, if you don't think you can safely and responsibly possess a firearm, don't buy one. Problem solved. There's no way you should be campaigning for the government to restrict your rights when you have the capacity to make that decision on your own. And by the way, does everyone feel the same way? Does every blind person feel the same way? Does the National Federation of the Blind, with millions of members, do they feel the same way? Do they feel the same way as this guy, Terry Sutherland, that the government ought to step in and strip the Second Amendment rights of somebody based on a disability, in this case, blindness? There is no federal law that says you can't own a gun if you're vision impaired. Hell, uncorrected, I'm about 2250. Well, exactly what point of vision impairment does Mr. Sutherland think I should lose my constitutional right to possess a gun? There are varying levels of blindness. There are people that are legally blind that still have a substantial amount of vision. I heard from people all this week that are legally blind that still go hunting, that still have guns for self-defense. But according to this guy right here in Indianapolis, Terry Sutherland, oh no, the government should step in and strip them of their Second Amendment rights. And then, of course, the media jumps all over this. Oh my God, Indiana will issue a license to carry to someone who can't even see, who's going to indiscriminately spray bullets in every direction because they can't see what they're shooting at. That's exactly the implication. That's pretty much what Terry Sutherland said, both to the Washington Post and to Wish TV. Well, here's a little news flash for Mr. Sutherland and for those folks out here advocating for why blind people should lose their Second Amendment rights. If you indiscriminately spray bullets without knowing what you're shooting at, today, under current law in Indiana, whether you have a license to carry or not, and by the way, major footnote, you don't need a license to carry to buy a gun. Now, with constitutional carry that I fought for 10 years, you don't need a license to carry a gun. You've never needed a license to carry to buy a gun. You've never needed a license to carry to have a gun in your home. So, oh, look, the state of Indiana gave me a license to carry is pretty much irrelevant. And whatever point he was trying to make is, in fact, pointless because you can carry without a license. So it makes no difference. What the point he was trying to make literally is pointless. But in all of that, the law today says if a blind person, a person who's sighted, anybody else indiscriminately sprays bullets, fires a single shot without knowing where that shot's going, without knowing what its target is, and that somehow endangers another person, guess what? That's called criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon, and you go to prison on a level 6 felony. That's how the law exists today. What more oversight from Big Brother does Terry Sutherland want? This is so offensive to me. It makes me mad. For those of us who are out there fighting every day for Second Amendment rights, here's someone whose Second Amendment rights were honored and respected by the state of Indiana, and he's trying to make a point that we shouldn't allow that to happen. That, in fact, the state of Indiana ought to strip his rights, not only his rights, but the rights of anyone with his same disability, which is blindness. Oh, that's offensive to me. It's offensive to me. And that's why I've been aggressive about this. I've reached out already, and he supposedly contacted legislators and how we need to change the law and said, well, he hasn't heard back from anyone. Well, no, sir, respectfully, I don't think you're going to, because your point is ridiculous. And we'll talk much more about that when we come back from this break. Right now, we're taking a break. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
A good cow is a dead cow.
What? Wow. I like steak. No one's going to argue with you there. This is something new. He's got the whole weird cow thing. That right there. I'm just saying that if the only good cow is a dead cow isn't a promo for WIBC by this time tomorrow, I'm firing everybody.
That's all you got to put in it, man.
Our whole team's got to go.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
There she is, founder and CEO. High five.
Dave can't stop celebrating with every business owner in town.
All right, Baker Man. High five.
He's sharing the excitement of big savings with the Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee.
Oh, up top, bike shop.
Yeah. It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
Quick, high five.
5 years of advanced security.
5 years.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Yeah, law partners. Chamberlain, Messelthorpe, Dubois.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability. Switch today and get the 5-year price lock guarantee.
5 years.
It's back, but only for a limited time.
Woo!
Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
Can't forget you, voiceover guy.
Ah, thanks, Dave.
High five.
Ends 3/9/25. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Dents happen. There's a whole lot of stuff that can mess up the look of your vehicle. Don't paint your car. Go PDR with Kill a Dent Removal. PDR is paintless dent removal that saves your factory finish and is way less invasive than traditional body shop repairs. And it's faster too, sometimes same day. Google Kill a Dent Removal and check out the reviews and photos. Then schedule your repair. Hail baseballs, kids, fender benders, shopping carts, flying cows, angry X's, and anything else that leaves dents. Don't paint your car. Go PDR with Kill a Dent Removal.
Let's talk about getting back to your best. Lack energy, muscle mass, feel moody, or have low libido? It could be signs of low testosterone. Know your T levels. Get tested. Testosterone therapy, or TRT, may be the answer. The true experts are at Low T Center, and everyone's different. Don't settle for a standard dosage TRT program.
Get personalized treatment at Low T Center. For current patients, Low T Center offers a $150 referral credit when you refer a new patient. LowTCenter.com. Book that appointment today. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Pierce Jewelers, Carmel's Diamond Engagement Ring Store.
News, I'm Jack Callahan. Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency have been blocked from obtaining access to certain Treasury Department payment records.
The temporary restriction is an initial win for New York Attorney General Letitia James, who led a coalition of more than a dozen AGs in this lawsuit. James alleges this level of access for unauthorized individuals is unlawful, unprecedented, and unacceptable.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. More Israeli hostages have been freed by Hamas.
3 hostages being freed from the Gaza Strip as part of the ceasefire agreement. We are talking about 3 men, 2 from the community of Be'eri and 1 who was at the Nova Festival.
Fox's Trey Yingst reporting from Tel Aviv. Israel also releasing dozens of Palestinian prisoners. America is listening to Fox News.
That's are us. When dreams don't get in, that's are us.
Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel, plus low to no monthly payments. Call 765-545-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsareus.com. 765-545-BATH.
That's are us. When dreams don't get in, that's are us.
Big Joe here. You've heard me talk about Absolute Comfort and Mitsubishi Electric ductless mini splits for years. This energy-efficient way to heat and cool your home is a game changer. Smart systems that detect when somebody's in the room and adjust to your room's activity, be it in your living room, garage, or man cave. Visit Absolute Comfort's booth this Friday through Sunday at the Suburban Indie Home and Outdoor Living Show at Graham Park. Ask for Jeremy or Chris to learn more. Absolute Comfort, your trusted American Standard Mitsubishi Electric Elite Ductless Pro dealer.
The deals and specials are sizzling hot. It's the Central Indiana Gun and Knife Show next Saturday and Sunday at the Madison County Fairgrounds in Alexandria.
The best dealers in the region. Hundreds of tables. Just $6 for adults. Kids 12 and under get in free. Must be 18 or accompanied by an adult. Buy, sell, trade. Next Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Madison County Fairgrounds in Alexandria. For more info, visit CentralIndianaGunShows.com.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
The show about gun rights, gun safety, and responsible gun ownership. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. Well, as I mentioned, you know, I spent quite a bit of time on this issue, and I'm not sure why I internalized it as much as I did, because listen, it doesn't directly impact me. I require a rather substantial correction through classes or contacts, but I you know, I mostly have my vision. But just the idea that someone was attempting to not only relinquish their own Second Amendment rights, but to do that on behalf of, potentially millions of other people who happen to have his same disability, that was just so deeply offensive to me that I really embraced the issue, and I got very much involved, and I'm glad Wish TV let me comment. They didn't publish much of what I had to say. I'm glad the Washington Post let me comment, although they also didn't publish much of what I had to say. But I've also talked about it, you know, on my social media, and obviously I'm talking about it tonight. But one thing that meant a lot to me is I was contacted after I appeared on the Hammer and Nigel show on Thursday, talking about this issue. And I was contacted by a gentleman named Brian Bussard, and he contacted me by email, and was really just generally expressing support for what I had to say on this. But Brian's perspective, I think, is so incredibly important that I actually asked him to join the show, and we actually have on the drivehubler.com hotline Brian Bussard. And Brian, first of all, thanks for joining the Gun Guy Show.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
So Brian, you apparently are a listener of Hammer and Nigel, like a lot of people across the state are. Why did you want to reach out and comment after you heard me describing this issue of a man trying to essentially relinquish Second Amendment rights on behalf of all blind persons?
Well, I went blind 8 years ago, and one of my fears when I first went blind was that people were going to use my disability as a way of taking away my rights. And when somebody does what this individual did, with making the point the way that he got he got the permit, you could get some overzealous ATF agent decide to arbitrarily make a law that could take my Second Amendment right away. And now you've made me a target even within my own home because I'm no longer able to provide self-defense for myself.
What do you say to people that essentially agree with Mr. Sutherland's position and say, well, my goodness, if you can't fully see your target, then you should never be allowed to possess a firearm? And that's what a lot of people are saying in reaction to this guy's publicity stunt. And I'm sorry, that's exactly what it was. What do you say to those people?
Well, I say to those people, if somebody's breaking into the house at 1 a.m. in the morning, are you going to turn all the lights on before you defend yourself?
Right. Exactly. Especially when you know your home better than anybody else does. I have to imagine that a blind person knows their home better than anyone based on their inability to actually see that they have to commit that to memory. And my goodness, I would think it was actually an advantage in that situation to be in your home in the dark, where that's your home, and someone now has just broken in.
Well, yeah, and in full disclosure, self-defense, even with a firearm, is a big discussion within the blind community. I did all my blind training out at the Colorado Center for the Blind, and we took a whole hour and a half, what's called a philosophy class, and we discussed should blind individuals be allowed to own a gun. And, you know, you had a lot of overzealous people thinking, well, yeah, I should be able to. But I reminded them, I said, as a responsible gun owner, whether you're sighted or blind, you're still responsible for what's behind your target. And, you know, those are all things that you have to take into consideration, you know, when you possibly have to use your weapon.
Exactly. So Brian, I take it that after you lost your sight, you said it just happened 8 years ago. So you lost your sight as an adult.
Yeah, I lost sight in my left eye when I was 17, when I was in high school, and then 31 years later, due to complications from a detached retina in my right eye, I lost it. So I went to work at 5 o'clock in the morning. Essentially, by 10:30 a.m. that morning, on May 21st, 2016, I was legally blind, and I've never regained correctable vision, and I am totally blind now.
And at any time during that process, including now, did you think, well, man, because I assume you were a gun owner before this happened?
Yes.
Before you lost your sight?
Yes, I was a gun. Like I said, I had my concealed carry permit through the state of Indiana before I went blind, and I carried, especially when we'd be out in the evening or something like that as the family. There were a few times I even carried to church. But one of the requirements that I had for my graduation at Colorado Center for the Blind is I had to do what's called a monster route, where they had to find these 4 locations, investigate the locations, and then in one day go to them. Well, I had never shot a machine gun, so I had contacted a gun range out in Colorado, and with the help of an NRA instructor, and we had the whole range to ourselves. You know, I got to shoot an automatic rifle. I had a great time.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Was there ever a point after you totally lost your vision here within the last 8 years that you thought, man, I should give up the firearms that I own because I can't safely, you know, own or use firearms?
Give them up? No. Simply because I've kind of in my, you know, like you said, I know my house better than anybody else. Even if I were at my parents' house, my parents lived down the road or something. I'm not, you know, what are my options? It's I think, you know, am I going to go with a pepper ball gun or something like that? I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, let me leave you with this question, and I'm fascinated to know this, but if you had the opportunity to speak directly to Terry Sutherland, and, you know, Terry is obviously also blind, but is advocating for a change in the law that wouldn't just affect his Second Amendment rights, but your Second Amendment rights and the Second Amendment rights of anyone else who's blind. If you had an opportunity for a direct conversation with Mr. Sutherland, is there anything you'd say to him?
Yeah, I'd say what you've done now. So, for example, most blind people carry a white cane. Mm-hmm. You've now just made every single person carrying a white cane a target for violence, that you're unable to defend yourself. At least now, especially in the state of Indiana, somebody's really got to scratch their head because of the concealed carry law and the constitutional carry laws that we have in the state. You don't know. That person could be carrying a handgun. Because realistically, if I can hear you, I can find you, and I can probably hit you.
Yeah. Yeah. That is such an important point. And I'll tell you what, Brian, we're a little past the 3/4 hour. I need to take a break. But after you sent me that email, and you were so gracious, I asked you if I could post what you said in your email on this issue on social media, and you allowed me to do that, which I appreciate greatly. But my first thought was, I just really want WIBC listeners to hear your perspective, and I want our legislators to hear your perspective. And you know what? directly or indirectly, I would love for Terry Sutherland to hear your perspective, because I think it's so incredibly important. And thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your story here on the Gun Guy Show.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Thanks so much. All right, we're a little past the three-quarter hour. We need to take a break. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
The administration is taking shape.
I, Marco Rubio.
Y un gran honor y le doy las gracias al presidente Trump. I just said I saved a bunch of money by switching to Geico. That's what I said. So.
Hearings and votes continue.
You're asking me, Senator, you're asking me not to serve vaccine.
Confirmations are underway.
The vice president votes in the affirmative, and the nomination is confirmed.
Follow the first 100 days on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. Our next Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class coming up on Saturday, March 15th. $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. This is 5 hours, the most important legal information you need as an Indiana gun owner. Check that out at tactical-firearms.com. Sign up right online at tactical-firearms. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Terry Stacy for Cardwell Do It Best Home Center, just south of the Gateway Arch on Indy South Side. Your discount roofing headquarters. Stop in for wholesale and factory direct pricing on the roofing shingles and supplies you need at the price you love. They offer dimensional and 3-tab shingles at low, low prices. Cardwell also carries a full line of best look quality paints produced by Sherwin-Williams, America's largest paint manufacturer, with paint and primer all in one. Cardwell also carries a full line of Hillman fasteners, and for winter, snow shovels, rock salt, and ice melter all in stock. At Cardwell Do It Best, you'll also find a full line of lawn and garden supplies, plumbing, electrical, with lumber and building materials too. Cardwell Home Center. Shop online at cardwellhomecenter.com with over 67,000 products available and free shipping to the store. Cardwell Do It Best, 3205 Madison Avenue, just south of the Gateway Arch on Indy South Side, serving the greater Indianapolis community since 1945.
Hi, I'm Dwight Freeney. Recently, I had the honor of meeting some incredible kids who are waiting for a life-saving organ transplant here in Indiana. I saw firsthand the importance of saying yes to organ donation. It's not just about saving lives. It's about giving others the chance to grow up, play, and dream big. Signing up as an organ donor is quick and easy. It takes less than a minute, but the difference you can make lasts a lifetime. Learn more at donatelifeindiana.org.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
The crew at LD Smith Plumbing has deep roots in Indiana. Unfortunately, most of the trees around here have deep roots too. And if it isn't roots in your pipes, it's a water heater ruined by sediment. No matter the plumbing problem, we'll show water who's boss. So if you need a new water heater, call us today and save up to $300 on a tankless water heater or $150 on a storage water heater.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery when you add a base. Ends Monday. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
You want to listen all day to WIBC, but you don't always have time. Don't worry. There's a podcast for that. The WIBC Mashup. Daily highlights from your favorite hosts, Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, and Hammer and Nigel. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Your rights, your responsibilities, your guns. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. Thanks again to Brian Bussard, who joined the show. And listen, it can't be an easy thing to talk about. Here's a gentleman who lost his sight as an adult. And as he said in his email to me, which I published on social media with his permission, you know, one of the first things that he was concerned about, I mean, with all the other challenges, I shouldn't say one of the first things, one of the things that he was concerned about, with all the other things that you now have as challenges in your life as someone who could see for the majority of your life, and now suddenly you've lost your sight. He was concerned about, and the way he phrased it was, well-meaning do-gooders and politicians wanting to strip him of his constitutional rights. And as someone who still exercises his Second Amendment rights, I mean, man, as out of joint as I became over this issue with Terry Sutherland advocating for blind people to lose their constitutional rights, I can't imagine how Mr. Bussard felt about it, and that's why I'm so glad that he reached out. But, you know, as part of this, and in responding to the Wish TV reporter who was setting up this interview, and then to the Washington Post, I went out and I said, well, you know, I wonder if other blind people have something to say about this. I wonder how other blind people feel about one member of that group, that is people who are blind, advocating for the government to swoop in and take their Second Amendment rights away from them. And I actually found this absolutely beautiful statement by the National Federation for the Blind. It's National Federation of the Blind. I want to get that correct. And this was actually issued in 2013, and apparently something similar happened in 2013 where somebody got a license, or, you know, there was some discussion in the media about blind people possessing firearms. And here's the statement. I'll just read the full thing. In recent days, there has been much discussion about whether blind individuals should be permitted to own and or carry firearms. The National Federation of the Blind, the oldest and largest nationwide organization of blind Americans, understands that guns are dangerous weapons and that anyone who owns, carries, or uses them must therefore exercise great care and sound judgment in doing so. And this is the part I absolutely love. Blindness has no adverse impact on a person's ability to exercise due care and good judgment. State firearm laws must be applied in a non-discriminatory manner to blind individuals, recognizing that laws and regulations regarding the granting of permits to own and or carry firearms vary throughout our country. Our singular position on firearms regulation is that a permit to own and or carry a gun should not be denied to any individual based solely on the basis of blindness. That's the point. That's what Mr. Bussard was saying. That's what Terry Sutherland needs to figure out. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Jewelry Gram, it's your friends at Shane Company here to remind you that Valentine's Day is Friday, February 14th. It's the most romantic day of the year to give and get fine jewelry. We have expertly crafted gifts for every type of sweetheart. For the one, we'll help you propose with the dream engagement ring. Come see our wide selection of hand-picked natural and lab-grown diamonds in all shapes and sizes, in stock and ready to compare side by side right here in our store. Or maybe you'll fall in love with the natural, colorful gemstone. At Shane Company, we're known for our sapphires in every color of the rainbow. We have options for every style and budget. Get creative and design a custom necklace with meaningful charms, including 14-karat gold letters, engravable hearts, and birthstones. Our mother-of-pearl heart-shaped collection makes a perfect gift that's ready to give. At Shane Company, love is always in the air with our unmatched free lifetime warranty, everyday competitive prices, and no-pressure shopping experience. Come see us in-store and at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
February is here and love is in the air. But if you're not in love with the way your home feels this winter, Universal Windows Direct has the perfect solution with their Love Your Windows sales event. Hey, it's Rob for Universal Windows Direct. Right now with Universal Windows Direct, for every 2 windows you buy, you're going to get the next 2 free, and there's no limit. Need 4 windows, you pay for 2. Need 20, pay for 10. It's the perfect way to save big while upgrading your home. And that's not all. Universal Windows Direct is offering no interest financing for 3 years. That's 36 months of easy payments with 0% interest. Already have a price from another company? Universal Windows Direct will beat it, so you know you're getting the best deal around. Now, some restrictions may apply, so call Universal Windows Direct to get all the details and schedule your free in-home estimate. 317-659-7574. 317-659-7574. And check everything out on the web at universalwindowsdirect.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery when you add a base. Ends Monday. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251.
Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Broadcasting from the Technology Recycler Studios, this is Indy's Mobile News, 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now.
Palestinian prisoners as part of the ceasefire agreement.
The men are Ohad Ben Ami, Or Levy, and Eli Sharabi. They were released from the central city of Deir al-Balah. Ohad and Eli were kidnapped from the community of Be'eri, and Or was kidnapped from a bomb shelter near the Nova Music Festival. They returned barely recognizable and clearly had lost significant amounts of weight while in Hamas captivity. Israel's President Isaac Herzog released a statement saying, quote, "This is what a crime against humanity looks like. The whole world must look directly at Ohad, Or, and Eli returning after 491 days of hell, starved, emaciated, and pained, being exploited in a cynical and cruel spectacle by vile murderers."
Fox's Trey Yingst reporting from Tel Aviv. So far, Hamas has freed 18 hostages, while Israel has released 550 Palestinian prisoners. Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency have been critical of the U.S. Agency for International Development, but the efforts to put USAID workers on leave has been blocked by a federal judge.
2,200 USAID workers aren't being placed on paid leave after all. U.S. District Judge Carl Nichols, a Trump appointee, sided with the two federal employee associations who asked the court to block the Trump administration's move to put thousands of USAID workers on paid leave. They also want the court to compel the reopening of USAID's buildings, return the staffers to work, and restore funding. The Trump administration and Elon Musk, who is running the Department of Government Efficiency, have targeted USAID and on Thursday ordered furloughs for at least 8,000 staffers and contractors. The lawsuit says the president does not have the authority to shut down an agency enshrined in congressional legislation. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Judges also blocked the department's access to Treasury Department records that contain sensitive personal data. America's listening to Fox News.
Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
I'm Ben Domenech, Fox News contributor and editor of the Transom.com daily newsletter, and I'm inviting you to join a conversation every week with the smartest thinkers out there about the issues Americans face and where we are going as a nation. This show will feature deep dive interviews with newsmakers and some of your favorite Fox News analysts. I hope you'll join me as we dive into the fray. It's the Ben Domenech Podcast.
Subscribe and listen now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you download podcasts.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is in North Carolina, meeting with Hurricane Helene survivors and volunteers. As Fox's Madison Scarpino reports.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A multi-million-dollar theft. I'm Sasha Nixon. Here's what's trending this hour. A young man from Lebanon, Indiana, is facing 20 years behind bars for helping steal more than $37 million in cryptocurrency. Police say Evan Light worked with others to hack a financial company in Sioux Falls, South Dakota in 2022. Through the scheme, he was able to access the personal information of more than 500 victims, which was then used to steal the cryptocurrency. Many of the victims were planning to use their savings in retirement. But a bill involving tuition support for Hoosier kids is being discussed at the State House. John Herrick explains.
It includes $19 billion for K-12 tuition support and removes income limits for the Choice Scholarship Program. Parents say this program helps give them school choice, but Dennis Kosterison testified this week that this can bring about financial challenges.
The elimination of the income eligibility for the Choice Scholarship Program would be an increase in state expenditures of $88.6 million in fiscal year 26 and $94.6 million in fiscal year 27.
He spoke to the House Ways and Means Committee on behalf of the Indiana Association of Public School Superintendents. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A Hoosier Lottery Powerball ticket worth $100,000 is about to expire. The ticket was purchased at the Circle K on West Main Street in Greenfield last year and will expire Monday. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Tonight, mostly cloudy, low temperatures in the upper 20s. And for tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies sticking around in our forecast, high temperatures in the mid to upper 30s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
Feeling the aches and pains of everyday life slowing you down? Introducing Blue Emu, America's #1 emu oil formula for pain relief. In a recent clinical trial, 91% of users saw improvement after using Blue Emu. Whether you're working hard, playing harder, or just staying active, Blue Emu penetrates deep to relieve joint and muscle pain fast. And best of all, you won't stink. Join the 91% who felt the difference. Find Blue Emu at your local retailer or online. Blue Emu works fast and you won't stink.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
The Suburban Indie Home and Outdoor Living Show
returns to Grand Park February 7th through 9th.
Find inspiration from over 200 exhibitors, artisans, and crafters.
SuburbanIndieshows.com.
Find the path to recovery that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment, and this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back for hour number 2 of the Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC. We're glad you're with us. And I'll tell you what, I was getting ready to change subjects, but Ron has called in. And Ron, I believe you wanted to comment on our last topic, which was a gentleman here in Indianapolis trying to basically lobby for a law to deprive blind individuals of their Second Amendment rights. And I understand you want to comment on that point.
Yes, sir. I've been blind since I was 19 years old. I'm 77 now. Mm-hmm. And I have a master's degree. I have 3 college degrees, a BA in mathematics. I taught mathematics, junior high and high school, regular public school, had charge over 100 students every day. And what a lot of sighted people do not realize, they can stand there and they can close their eyes after seeing, for years and all day and whatever, and then say, oh, man, this is scary. I don't think I can handle having a gun, so therefore I don't think you can handle it.
Right.
There's a lot of experience and a lot of, adjustment that has to be made. Going from a sighted world to a blind world, I was sighted, like I said, till I was a teenager. And so it is a little scary at first, but then you get adjustment, you get training, you get education, and you learn to use your ears. A lot of people think our hearing is better than theirs, but it isn't. It's just the fact that we exercise our hearing differently than people with sight. Mm-hmm. They depend on their eyes. But I hear lots of things that people have no idea I can hear. And so I wouldn't have a difficult. I don't have a gun, but I don't have a problem with anybody owning a gun and possessing a gun, and again, using it, with training and well instructed, and not just abusing the use of it. But I wouldn't mind. It wouldn't bother me if I had one as a blind guy.
Well, let me ask you this, Ron, and thank you so much for calling, because again, like Brian Bussard's view, your position on this, to me, is just, your input on this is just so important, because a lot of us are just, guessing what your world's like and how you might interpret these issues or respond to these issues. But let me ask you this, as I did to Mr. Bussard, how do you feel about another blind person basically advocating for you to be stripped of a constitutional right that you already have?
Well, it's just like liberals versus conservatives. Liberals think they have an idea of what all people should do and how they should act and behave and think. And conservatives obviously have a different point of view about how they should act, think, and believe. So it's the same way with blind guys. There are blind people that they're ignorant about the abilities or the sensitivities of another blind person. I'm different from the next guy, just like a sighted person would be different. I have my likes, my desires, my feelings. It's different than the guy in the next house over,
Yeah, exactly.
So this other blind guy, he has a point of view based on his knowledge and experience. I have a point of view based on my knowledge and experience.
Well, that's a great way of putting it. And my reaction to him, again, as someone who doesn't see particularly well, but is certainly sighted, my reaction to this is that if he doesn't feel that he's capable of safely owning or using a gun, then great. Don't buy one. Don't own one. But why on earth would you be out trying to eliminate a constitutional right of everyone else who has your same disability? And listen, I don't want to speak for people like you and Brian, because I have no standing to do so. But my first reaction would be that's a little offensive.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. But it's like I told you, it's like a liberal saying, I don't think it's good for you to own a car, or I don't think it's good for you. I don't believe that you're blind, so I don't believe you should own a house or rent an apartment, because I don't think you can keep up with it. I don't think you can keep it clean. It's perspective.
Yeah. Exactly. And by the way, I mean, there are other laws. For instance, if you went to rent an apartment or buy a house, and if a landlord or realtor said, you know what, I'm really sorry, but we're not confident that you as a blind person could keep this property up, or you comply with the homeowners association rules or whatever it might be, that would actually be illegal. It would be discrimination against you based on a disability, which is against the law. And they could be sued for that and be fined by regulatory agencies for that. I'm not sure why this doesn't fall in the same category.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I own my own home. I've owned it since 1977, my wife and I. And by the way, we're both blind. She's
oh, no kidding.
No, we're both blind. I met her at the Orientation Center for the Blind in Albany, California. We got married 56 years ago.
56 years ago. Now, come on. Now, some people may not like that. Do you ever make jokes about the blind leading the blind?
Oh, absolutely. If I can't joke about my blindness, I am in a lot of trouble. I'm a big jokester. I make jokes all the time. I tell, like, for example, this might be offensive, but I'm going to say it anyway. I tell my students, I said, I'm black, which I'm not. I'm a Caucasian. And they, Mr. Bird, you black? I said, sure. Look up in my nose holes here. It's black up in there. That kind of thing. We just have a lot of fun. No, I have a lot of fun with my students.
Ron, listen, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you calling in and sharing your perspective. It like Brian Bussard's, your perspective is just so important. Because, I'm often uncomfortable speaking on behalf of someone else that I have no standing to speak on behalf of. So I haven't attempted to do so in this context. My position has been that I'm offended that he's trying to essentially relinquish constitutional rights, not only from his, on his own behalf, but on behalf of other people. And I'm glad to hear you, and I'm so glad you called in. I thank you so much.
Well, thank you for taking my call, Guy.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, it's a little early, and boy, I hope I didn't just cut him off. I did not mean to if I did. A little early. Let's go ahead and take a break here. Come back. I'm going to go back to the phone lines, but I'm also going to switch gears a little bit and get into what could be life-changing in terms of those of us who fight for Second Amendment rights, which is what President Trump has done through this executive order that's not only directed Attorney General Pam Bondi to review the regulatory actions of the ATF over the last 4 years under President Biden, but also to assess the position of the Department of Justice, that is the United States, on pending litigation that impacts our Second Amendment rights. This, ladies and gentlemen, is huge. We'll see how it unfolds. You know what? I'll rephrase that. This is potentially huge. And we'll get into what those issues are and how this might play out when we come back. I'm going to continue to take your calls. Man, thanks so much to our callers so far. Give us a call, 317-239-9393. So it's Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Kendall and Casey.
This is a bill that prohibits minors under 16 from using social media without parental permission.
This is an example of government trying to resolve a problem that they have no business being in, which is how you parent your kid. If you want your kid to be on social media, that's your right as a parent. You dictate that.
Kendall and Casey, weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for Rock Op Defense Solutions. We have an incredibly high-end quality rifle manufacturer located right here in central Indiana, in Avon. This is Rock Op Defense Solutions. I have an AR platform rifle from Rock Op Defense Solutions. It is my go-to AR. They are fighting rifle manufacturers, and I put these rifles up against any manufacturer in the country. You know, high-end rifles like Noveske, Daniel Defense, Guys Lee, Wilson Combat, and I own some of those. And let me tell you, this is just as solid. This is just a quality a rifle as any of those, if not better. I'm excited to have one, and you can have one too. I love that they're located right here in central Indiana. Check them out at rock-opdefense.com. They not only have sales, they have upgrade services. They have Cerakoting services. You want to refinish your gun. You want to upgrade your gun. You want to make it an SBR. Make sure your barrel length, your gas system all functions the way it should. Make sure you got the right buffer spring in it. All of that, or the right buffer itself. I've run into issues with that with other guns. All of those issues can be dealt with right here in central Indiana, rock-opdefense.com. Check them out. It's Rock Op Defense Solutions. My friends producing fighting rifles as good as any in the country. It's rock-opdefense.com.
When you're running a small business, every dollar counts. And there's lots of ways you could try saving money, like, say, subletting half your office to an exotic pet shop, or downsizing your fleet of catering trucks to a fleet of catering scooters. Or you could try a smarter way to save. Switch to Comcast Business Mobile. It could save you up to 70% on business wireless compared to AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile, and save you the hassle of having a parrot as your desk mate. So don't compromise your business to save money. Keep it growing with Comcast Business Mobile, an incredible value and smarter way to save. Comcast Business Mobile, powering smarter savings, powering possibilities.
Restrictions apply. Compares weighted average of providers based on optimized pricing. Comcast Business Internet required. Reduced speeds after data usage included with plan. Savings may vary.
Discover cancer care that empowers you at Community Health Network MD Anderson Cancer Center by offering the expert, compassionate care you need.
When I was at my lowest, I would have 2 or 3 nurses come in to give me a pep talk, telling me it's okay to feel this way. It's normal. But you have us to support you, and you will get through this.
Learn more at ecommunity.com/cancer.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Hi, I'm Dwight Freeney. Recently, I had the honor of meeting some incredible kids who are waiting for a life-saving organ transplant here in Indiana. I saw firsthand the importance of saying yes to organ donation. It's not just about saving lives. It's about giving others the chance to grow up, play, and dream big. Signing up as an organ donor is quick and easy. It takes less than a minute, but the difference you can make lasts a lifetime. Learn more at donatelifeindiana.org.
Right now at Wendy's, get 2 of these fave items for just $7. The spicier classic chicken sandwich, Dave's single, or 10-piece nugs. It's an incredible deal, but an insanely difficult choice. Do you go double chicky sando, both spicy and classic, 1 beefy and 1 chicky? Or maybe you go all in on one and go Nug Max. 2 faves for just $7? Gotta be Wendy's.
At participating Wendy's for a limited time only. Select a request 2 for $7 deal to redeem. Not valid in a combo or with saucy nugs. Single item at regular price. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii.
There's a price war in the insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call the Term Lifeline right now and see if you can save 40%. $500,000 plans and up, that's our specialty. Even great smokers' rates. Protect your family today. Call the Term Lifeline right now for a free quote. 866-549-TERM, 866-549-TERM, 866-549-TERM.
Show your true love and spoil her with that special Valentine's gift from Pierce Jewelers in Carmel that says, I love you. Remember, shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
There are screening tests to catch cancer early. Visit cancer.org/getscreened.
Your rights, your responsibilities, your guns. This is the Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. I'm going to get into this executive order just issued by President Trump, which has huge, absolutely huge potential ramifications. But before we do so, I want to go to the phone lines. We've had a couple of people call in, and I think this is our friend Annie who's called before. Annie, I think welcome back to the Gun Guy Show.
Hi, Guy. I wanted to state, as a person that is either half blind or half sighted, depending on whether the glass is half full or half empty, since 1998, I've had vision in only one eye.
Uh-huh.
And I want to tell Terry Sullivan his stance on the Second Amendment. I want to say to him, not no, but hell no.
Yeah.
And you have taught me the right to self-protection under the Second Amendment is not granted by the state or the federal government, but it is a God-given right.
Exactly.
And I don't know if you remember from a few months ago, you were talking about illegal aliens' right to carry a gun and self-protection. I would have said no, they have no rights as a citizen, but you taught me they do, because the right to self-protection under the Second Amendment is a God-given right. It's not granted by any government or any state.
Yeah, and on that issue, Annie, and thanks so much. That's so sweet of you to make those comments and to call in, and I appreciate it very much. Yeah, the issue of whether non-citizens should have the ability to carry a gun, that'll test how you feel about the Second Amendment. It'll test how you feel about the Constitution. It'll test how you feel about whether our inalienable rights, in the words of the Declaration of Independence, granted to us by God, about exactly, it'll test how you feel about those. It'll test about how you feel about the origin of those rights, and it'll test about whether you, in fact, believe that the government bestows rights on us like privileges and and I know how I feel about that. And Annie, I think I can tell how you feel about that. Let's go back to the phone lines. And Mark, I think it is, has called in. Mark, you got a question, I think, about bump stocks.
Yes, I do. Okay, so I'm a Trump lover, but I did not understand how, through regulation, they were able to outlaw bump stocks.
Right.
So prior to that, and I know you're not really a fan of bump stocks, and I understand why.
Yeah. Well, whether I'm a fan of bump stocks is completely separate by whether I'm okay with a president or an administrative agency with a stroke of the pen just making something illegal. That's a whole separate question. So, no, and I know that the second part of that is where your question goes to.
Yeah. Okay. So, actually, I got a couple of questions. So now, if I bought a slide fire and a Bumsky bump stock for AK-47s, had one on Sega 12. Okay. So, number one, I wonder if I were caught with that after I bought it legally, then what could my penalty have been? Now, I did not use them until the Supreme Court.
Oh no, it's a possession charge. So you don't have to use it. It's like while the bump stock ban was in effect, it's just like having 2 kilos of cocaine. You don't have to use the cocaine. You just have it in your possession. Hey, you're looking at 10 years in federal prison.
Yeah, but I bought it legally, and my understanding of ATF regulation on full auto, because I don't have a Class 3, that one touch of the trigger, one round is semi-automatic.
Yeah.
One touch of the trigger and multiple rounds are full auto. And
right.
I don't understand how that was ever allowed. Now, I did not use mine, and I know you're not a fan of them, but to me, it was like, okay, I don't want to go through getting a Class 3, and then the federal government can come in and inspect anything I have. And
well,
stuff.
Yeah, and Mark, let me interrupt you if you don't mind, because you couldn't have gotten your tax stamp, is how I would describe what you're talking about. You couldn't have spent the $200 and got a tax stamp that would allow you to possess a bump stock while it was being classified as a machine gun, because it wouldn't have been manufactured before 1986. And in order to register any machine gun under the so-called Hughes Amendment of the Firearm Owners Protection Act of 1986, in order to be something that could be registered, something that could be possessed, or something that could be transferred, that machine gun, quote unquote, as assembled, had to be registered as of, I think it's May 19th, 1986. And maybe April. No, I think it's May. And by the way, I love relying on my aging memory on this, because I'll have 14 texts on this or messages on social media telling me which is correct. But so bump stocks were never going to be legal under the prior administration, under the ATF's interpretation. Good news is, and this is a good lead in to what I'm going to talk about for the rest of the show, which is in litigation, the bump stock ban was found to be unenforceable. Now, a lot of people don't understand this. A lot of people say it was found to be unconstitutional because it violates the Second Amendment. That's not quite right. It could have been, and it was certainly an opportunity for the Supreme Court to say that. They didn't say that. They didn't need to say that, because what they found really goes to your point, which is that the ATF, by saying a bump stock it makes a gun a machine gun, actually simply misinterpreted and wrongly applied the definition of a machine gun that Congress created in the National Firearms Act. And definition, and you went into this a bit in your question, that that is one function of the trigger. For the definition of a machine gun, one function of the trigger produces more than one bullet fired from the gun. And a bump stock allows you essentially to pull the trigger a lot really quickly, but this trigger still has to be pulled for each shot. And the fact that it mimics or is something similar to or may sound like a machine gun is irrelevant because you still only get one bullet per trigger pull. The fact that the trigger's being pulled really quick, okay, that's great. Doesn't change the definition, and it doesn't make a gun equipped with a bump stock a machine gun. And in Supreme Court, and this is Cargill versus, I want to say U.S., but Mr. Cargill, who's a gun shop owner down in Texas, is an absolute hero of the Second Amendment, by the way. He's like Mr. Heller, who fought a lot of these regulations and won at the Supreme Court in probably the most important Second Amendment decision that we have. But Mr. Cargill wins cases left and right and won this one on bump stock. So the bump stock issue has been resolved. What's interesting, though, are all these other cases out there pending. And this is where Trump's executive order, just signed yesterday, could have so much impact. Because the executive order didn't just say it, and it was funny, because the focus on the executive order, which says Pam Bondi as Attorney General shall review agency actions since 2021 under the Biden administration and how they impact the Second Amendment. It also goes on to say to look at the positions taken by the government in litigation that may infringe or impact upon Second Amendment rights in America. And when you combine those two things, because the regulation is one thing, and I'll go through the issues very likely to be affected. I mentioned at the top of the show, pistol stabilizer braces and so-called ghost guns, or guns made at home, essentially, homemade guns. It's broader than that, but that's essentially what we're talking about. That the regulatory actions are one thing, but the positions in litigation, and could the Justice Department, as ordered by Pam Bondi as the new Attorney General under this direction from Trump in the executive order, come in and basically concede the various cases that are pending right now that involve incredibly important issues on Second Amendment rights? That is the potential. I'm not counting any eggs yet till they're hatched. But that's the potential, and that's why this gets real exciting real fast. We'll get more into that as we come back, when we come back from this break. Join the discussion. We've had fabulous calls so far, incredibly good calls. 317-239-9393. Join the discussion, 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
The commander-in-chief no longer needs a diaper change. The commander-in-chief doesn't have to watch Matlock with pudding smeared on his face. We've got a commander-in-chief that no longer falls up and down the stairs multiple times. I'm excited for that. If anything else.
Let's see how long it takes before Pencil Neck Adam Schiff to file some impeachment charge.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
The deals and specials are sizzling hot. It's the Central Indiana Gun and Knife Show next Saturday and Sunday at the Madison County Fairgrounds in Alexandria. The best dealers in the region. Hundreds of tables. Just $6 for adults. Kids 12 and under get in free. Must be 18 or accompanied by an adult. Buy, sell, trade. Next Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Madison County Fairgrounds in Alexandria. For more info, visit CentralIndianaGunShows.com.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577. For service today. Today.
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
April breeze, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be...
Limited time
Offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
With everything going on, it may be hard to imagine one more thing to worry about. But clothes dryers cause thousands of house fires every year. And dirty ductwork in your home is filling the air you breathe with pollutants and allergens. Should you worry? Not if you contact Safe Dryer and Air Duct Solutions, a locally owned, veteran-operated business offering fast, reliable duct and dryer vent cleaning services, making your home safer and your air healthier. WIBC listeners save 10% off any service. One less thing to worry about. Go to safedads.net.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Pierce Jewelers, Carmel's Valentine's Gift Headquarters.
Fox News, I'm Roger Stern. Elon Musk is calling a Trump-appointed federal judge insane. This after Judge Paul Engelmeyer temporarily blocked Musk's staff from having access to Treasury Department computers, which include sensitive information like Social Security numbers.
Engelmeyer ordered any official who has access to the systems to immediately destroy copies of materials downloaded from the Treasury Department.
Fox's Madeline Rivera, another hostage for prisoner swap, with Hamas releasing 3 Israeli hostages in return for dozens of Palestinian prisoners.
The men are Ohad Ben Ami, Or Levy, and Eli Sharabi. Ohad and Eli were kidnapped from the community of Be'eri, and Or was kidnapped from a bomb shelter near the Nova Music Festival.
Fox's Trey Yingst. America is listening to Fox News.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery when you add a base. Ends Monday. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Big Joe here. You've heard me talk about Absolute Comfort and Mitsubishi Electric ductless mini splits for years. This energy efficient way to heat and cool your home is a game changer. Smart systems that detect when somebody's in the room and adjust to your room's activity, be it in your living room, garage, or man cave. Visit Absolute Comfort's booth this Friday through Sunday at the Suburban Indie Home and Outdoor Living Show at Graham Park. Ask for Jeremy or Chris to learn more. Absolute Comfort, your trusted American standard Mitsubishi Electric Elite Ductless Pro dealer.
Planning to propose this Valentine's Day? Shane Company has your back. Our easy process to create your dream engagement ring is rock solid. 1, pick your ring setting. 2, choose your center stone. 3, personalize it. With our wide selection of beautiful settings and hand-picked diamonds and gemstones, all at competitive prices, your ring will be as unique as your love story. We'll handset your ring in our jeweler's workshop right here in our store and protect it with our free lifetime warranty. Walk in with a dream, walk out with the ring that will take their breath away. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
This Valentine's Day, the perfect gift is at PA Jewelers inside Premier Arms in Brownsburg. You're going to find that one-of-a-kind piece without breaking the bank. Unique vintage pieces of jewelry dating back to the 1800s. One-of-a-kind pieces from local jewelers. And they also have those wow factor diamonds if you're looking to make this Valentine's Day something special. A big jewelry selection without the big jewelry price. It's more than a kiss. 3754 South Green Street in Brownsburg. 317-858-3030 online at premierarms.com.
Now you've got a gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. You know, something I posted about on social media. And again, if you're on Twitter, give me a follow on there. It's just at Guy Relford. I'm trying to build that following. Posted about it on Facebook as well. Is we've had a couple of court rulings here recently between the 8th Circuit and the 5th Circuit. One opinion came out and said that a gentleman who was just an incidental user of marijuana, used marijuana 2 or 3 times a week, that the prosecution against him on the basis that he was a user of or addicted to an illegal drug and still possessed a gun. So the federal government is trying to put him in prison for 10 years. A U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals came out and said that as applied to him, that law is unconstitutional. And then we had another Circuit Court of Appeals come out and say that the law that says you have to be 21 to buy a handgun in a gun store from a FFL, we call them, Federal Firearms Licensee, meaning a retailer, someone engaged in the business, that the law requiring them to be 21, that's unconstitutional. That's violating the Second Amendment rights of 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. And I couldn't any more emphatically agree with that. And I had some people challenge me on this on social media, say, well gosh, Guy, the prefrontal cortex or whatever it is not fully developed, and they shouldn't have gun. Hold on. If you're old enough to carry an M4, select fire weapon fully capable of automatic fire, if you're you can operate a tank or an artillery unit or a drone armed with missiles and put yourself in harm's way from your country in a foreign land, and then I'm sorry, we're going to tell you you can't come home and buy a handgun in your local gun store? Hell no. And I talked a lot about that last week. I won't repeat that discussion. But that's ridiculous. And of course it violates the rights of 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. People want to talk about how the Second Amendment starts, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state. How old did you have to be in the militia? In 1775, at the time that we started seizing our freedom back from the British Empire on Lexington Green. You had to be 17 to be a member of the militia, and I'll guarantee you they weren't doing a deep dive on anybody who wanted to volunteer at an earlier age. So you're going to tell me it's consistent with a text, history, and tradition of regulating the Second Amendment in this country, or the right to bear arms in this country, generally, to say you have to be 21 to own a handgun? Hell no. But those are the cases that are coming down, and under the Bruen decision, here from 2022, I want to say, that's the test, that any given gun control law has to be consistent with the text, history, and tradition of how gun rights have been regulated in this country, going back to the time of the founding. And there's some argument to say we can also look to 1868, I believe it is, at the time we passed the 14th Amendment that makes the Bill of Rights applicable to the states, makes the states subject to the limitations within the Bill of Rights. But either way, you're looking at the historical regulation of gun rights. And I predicted when the decision came out, I said it right here on my show multiple times. I said it on Hammer and Nigel's show, and as many times as I was allowed the opportunity to say this is going to dramatically impact how court cases are determined, because so many of these bans or restrictions on Second Amendment rights, like assault weapon bans, high-capacity magazine bans, you name it, right down the line, those can't be sustained on the basis of the text, history, and tradition test. And it threw out this ridiculous, this was hard to say it out without cussing, this complete BS test that courts were using to say, well, essentially it was a balancing. Well, we're going to apply this level of scrutiny, and under that level of scrutiny, that if there's a compelling government interest in regulating a right, then a little bit of infringement's okay. What? No. How's that consistent with what the founders wrote in the Bill of Rights? Shall not be infringed. Doesn't say shall not be infringed a lot. Doesn't say shall not be infringed, a lot if there's a really important reason why the government wants to infringe. It didn't say any of that. It's complete BS. That's why the Bruen decision is correct. But here's why this executive order is so exciting. And we'll have to see where it goes. And I'm not counting on this until it happens. But the agency actions that happened under the Biden administration are supposed to be reviewed by Pam Bondi. Now, a minute about Pam Bondi. A lot of Second Amendment proponents and several that I respect came out and said, we're not real excited about Pam Bondi as AG. Why? In her job as AG in Florida, before she was appointed to be our U.S. Attorney General, she as Attorney General, was put in the position of defending the Florida red flag law, the law that raised the age to buy a rifle or a shotgun in Florida to 21, and some other elements of Florida law that are not pro-2A friendly. Not pro-2A friendly, that was redundant, are not pro-2A. And so people say, oh, hold on, she's not really very strong on 2A. Well, we're about to find out. And listen, I've had this discussion with Todd Rokita here at Indiana Attorney General. And listen, Mr. Rokita catches a lot of crap, including right here on WIBC. I think a lot of it's completely undeserved. But on the 2A, however you feel about Todd Rokita, I'm personally a fan of Todd Rokita. Why? Because I look at my number one topic. Guess what that is? It's Second Amendment rights. He is solid on 2A. But I've talked to him about the job of an attorney general, a state attorney general. It's the job of the state attorney general to defend the laws of the state. That's in the job description. And so I'm giving Pam Bondi a little bit of a break in terms of whether she was simply doing the job she was compelled to do as Florida AG. Whatever doubts you may have on that, and it's completely legitimate to have doubts, we're about to see, because she's the one that's supposed to review the consistency not only of agency action, and we're talking about ATF action here. And what are we talking about? We're talking about ghost guns. We're talking about stabilizing braces. We're talking about increasing the scrutiny on private sellers of firearms, put them in jail for being engaged in the business of selling firearms without a license. That and much more. So looking at ATF action and to see whether they're consistent with Second Amendment principles, also looking at the position of litigation. And there the list gets really long and it gets really exciting. Assault weapon bans. The U.S. Department of Justice, theoretically, we'll see if it happens, could concede that assault weapon ban, high-capacity magazine bans across the entire country are unconstitutional and those laws should be stricken down. They could concede that age limits, like 21 to buy a pistol, the federal law, that's unconstitutional and should be stricken down. Law like the incidental use of a drug like marijuana, at least as to users of less illicit, less harmful, less influential drugs like marijuana, that as applied to them, the law against being a user of an illegal drug, quote unquote, since it's still illegal at the federal level, that's unconstitutional. This could be a game changer in terms of the federal government's position on pending litigation. And listen, we are incredibly pro-2A here in Indiana, and our Indiana legislature doesn't get nearly enough credit for the fantastic job they've done for a long time. Now, has it taken some poking and prodding and work? Yeah, that's what I've been doing for a long damn time. I spent a lot of my time over in the legislature. And on constitutional carry, it took us too damn long. It took us 10 years. Shouldn't have taken us anywhere near that long. Did we have some people who said they supported the Second Amendment that in fact didn't support the Second Amendment, and we had to beat the hell out of in the legislature in order to get that passed? Yes, that all happened. But generally speaking, we are incredibly pro-2A. Do we have to worry about an assault weapon ban here in Indiana? No, we do not. A high-capacity magazine ban? No. But how awesome would it be if on these issues that issue, yeah, it could be 21 to buy a handgun, that would definitely impact us right here in Indiana. If at the end of the day, Pam Bondi shows her pro-2A stripes, comes in and orders the lawyers within the Department of Justice handling those cases for the United States of America to concede that the statutes they're defending are unconstitutional and they should be set aside, boom, I'm telling you, that's a big, huge leap forward for Second Amendment rights in this country. Am I counting on that? Oh, hell no. I'm not that naive. Is it a possibility? Oh, hell yes. And we'll see how this develops. Tell you what, we're taking a break. We come back. Got some people on hold. I'm going to try to take as many calls as we can. We're going to have a little bit of a short session. When we come back, I'll try to take as many calls as I can, and we'll wrap up this edition of The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Kendall and Casey.
This is a bill that prohibits minors under 16 from using social media without parental permission.
This is an example of government trying to resolve a problem that they have no business being in, which is how you parent your kid. If you want your kid to be on social media, that's your right as a parent. You dictate that.
Kendall and Casey, weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone. Done. By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey, it's Rob for Universal Windows Direct. Right now, buy 2 windows, get 2 free, no limit. No interest financing for 3 years. That's 36 months. Schedule your free in-home estimate today.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. You know, our next Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class coming up on Saturday, March 15th. That's going to be out at Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range in Avon. We'd love to have you there. 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock. It's $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. 5 hours, the most important legal information you need as an Indiana gun owner. You can sign up right online at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
I'm Patrick McCaffrey, basketball player at Butler University. In 2023, I stepped away from the game and got professional help when anxiety started to overwhelm me. If you're having a mental health crisis, assistance is available for you too. Just call the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, where a trained specialist will give you immediate support. That's what helped me, and it can help you too. Call 988. When you need someone who gets you, they got you.
Let's talk about getting back to your best. Lack energy, muscle mass, feel moody, or have low libido? It could be signs of low testosterone. Know your T levels. Get tested. Testosterone therapy, or TRT, may be the answer. The true experts are at Low T Center, and everyone's different. Don't settle for a standard dosage TRT program.
Get personalized treatment at Low T Center. For current patients, Low T Center offers a $150 referral credit when you refer a new patient. LowTCenter.com. Book that appointment today. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
There's a price war in the insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call the Term Lifeline right now and see if you can save 40%. $500,000 plans and up, that's our specialty. Even great smokers rates. Protect your family today. Call the Term Lifeline right now for a free quote. 866-549-TERM, 866-549-TERM, 866-549-TERM.
One of the real advantages that we have here at Hendricks is the scope of the services that we have to offer in orthopedics.
Whether they have a hip fracture or they're a high-functioning athlete, we're all working towards the same thing.
To have them be able to have an elective surgery safely and then go home also in a safe fashion is of utmost importance.
We very much want everyone to get back to doing everything that they were doing beforehand. We're really invested in it.
Unstoppable orthopedic care. Learn more at hendricks.org/ortho.
Addiction. It's hard on those who struggle with it, but those who love the addict need support too. Matt Baer and Ryan Hedrick provide help and hope with Supporting Sobriety. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on WIBC.com. Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back for the last segment of the Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC. And I'll tell you what, let's go to the phone lines. We've got some people on hold. I want to get to as many as I can. And let's see, I think it says Anthony has called in. Anthony, welcome to the Gun Guy Show.
Yes, Guy. I hope you're having a good weekend. I'll keep this real quick.
Sure.
I had a 20-year military career.
Oh, no kidding.
In the U.S. Army. And my vision when I entered on active duty was 20/400, which is legally blind. So after qualifying expert early on in my career,
Now, wait, hold on. Wait a minute. How did you qualify expert with 2400 vision? I think that's the most awesome thing I've ever heard. How did that happen?
Well, I had corrected lenses.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Gotcha.
So after doing that one time on the range, because I was a commissioned officer, I got with one of the sergeants and said, let me shoot this without the lenses. And this is out on the ranges. It's got the pop-up targets in the lane.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I was able to knock them down to about 100, 150 meters.
Now, were you doing that from muscle memory, or were you doing that because you could adequately see those targets?
Well, I actually could see. I could kind of see something pop up.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and this is with iron sights.
Sure.
So I could see something pop up out there, and I was good enough to actually see the rear peep sight in the front, the front post, and you could kind of put it on target.
Actually, now, Anthony, let me ask you the bottom line question, given the discussion we've had here on the show, which is, how do you feel about this guy, Terry Sutherland, who's out there actively campaigning the legislature to say that someone like you, who's legally blind, should have to relinquish your Second Amendment rights?
You'd have to use the dump button.
I just gave producer Jack the high sign. So yeah, don't make us use it. But thanks for the warning. No, really. And as a veteran, there's no doubt in my mind you could light us right up. But
well, the vision kind of got fixed later. We figured out what was going on with my eyeballs, which were out of shape.
Oh, no kidding.
Out of round, yeah. So we kind of fixed that by doing some things, and I eventually got it to 20 over 30. I've had cataract surgery since then in both eyes, and they're now 20/20.
Oh, man, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, listen, Anthony, thanks so much for calling and sharing your perspective. It's an important one. I'll tell you what, we've only got about 30 seconds, but let's talk to Brent. You've been on hold for a while. Brent, thanks for calling the Gun Guy Show.
Yes. Few sessions ago, you were talking about the red flag and went about 45 minutes saying what was wrong with it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that this should be completely repealed. All red flag laws, Indiana, gone.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Brent, there's a lot of people feel the same way you do. I actually argued with conviction to the Indiana Court of Appeals that our red flag law is unconstitutional. In a 2-1 decision, they disagreed with me at the Indiana Court of Appeals. But I'll tell you right now, in the Indiana legislature, that is a challenge. That is a challenge, but it's not something we're going to give up on, and we'll continue to take a look at. And I'll tell you what, that brings us to the end of this week's show. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you come back next week. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free